Governments do understand and institutions do understand the need and the advantage of having sort of a portable identity that you can use in several other places. And that is happening all over the world.
I think we're in a phase where we're living it's very clear we left the Wild West, and we're seeing a new wave that is everyone coming to the same technology that we have been using. It doesn't mean they will live in the same world. It means they will live in the same technology.
Government institutions, oftentimes they're pre-Web 2, pre-Web 1 even. They're Web 0, like they're still on paper.
Welcome back to the Rollup. We are your hosts. I'm Andy.
I'm Robbie, and this is your home to learn from the biggest guests, the brightest minds at the tip of innovation.
Our goal is to help spread the collective knowledge of everyone in our community.
We are breaking crypto out of its echo chamber and taking it to the real world.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy a quick word from some of our awesome partners who make this show possible.
Crypto UX? Broken. AI? Can't trust it. Let Magic Newton set you free. It puts your on-chain transactions on autopilot. Does all the work for you 24/7 so you can go do what you want. The vision of Magic Labs. The creators of embedded wallets, used and backed by the best. See for yourself. Simpler crypto UX, verifiable AI agents. Newton.xyz.
Introducing Asset Runes, the future of decentralized finance. Stablecoins natively on Bitcoin. Hedge against volatility. Diversify your portfolio. All directly from your Bitcoin wallet. Secured by ZK technology. This is Asset Runes. Available now, exclusively on Starknet.
Live from Cannes. Beautiful. I think it's beautiful. People, it's hot. It is warm. I'm sweating underneath. But I think beautiful skies, beautiful people, beautiful beaches. No complaints from my end. RJ, Diego, it's a pleasure to have you guys on the roll-up. We're not going to be talking about some infrastructure 1001 L2. We're going to be talking about real tangible use cases employed by some infrastructure that keeps everything very secure, but also makes tangible use cases happen, things people really want to use. Guys, what is your impression of the conference so far? What is your opinion of Cannes? And we'll get into it.
Thank you for having us again. And yeah, I think so far it has been great and a little sweaty, 100%. I'm not a very summer person, so I'm doing a lot of effort to be here, but I think it has been good. We met with friends, catching up with our partners like Diego, and we're happy that we're in a stage where we can talk more about the things that are built on top of us, and talk about use cases, users, and moving to the next phase of crypto, right?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Mr. Diego, former Secretary of Innovation at Buenos Aires, among other things. Founder of QuarkID, as well as in partnership, you guys have created the Trust Stack. And so, please, I'd love a background on yourself and how you got up until this point, going through the former, the Secretary of Innovation and working for the government. And we'll get into the Trust Stack as well.
Well, cool. Thank you very much. And I love being here with Roberto and I'm partners and in the Rollup, which is a podcast which I listen to every week, so I love it. I held a 3.5 years tenure as Secretary of Innovation in the city of Buenos Aires. I went into that job because I was kind of obsessed with the identity part, and that was in early 2021, which it wasn't that popular, the identity thing that became popular in the last kind of 2 years, and I'm happy about it. Because basically I perceive the strong friction that you have in order to KYC, to verify who you were, and the enormous risks that the centralized systems have for individuals, for institutions. And I thought that there was a better way of doing things. And that was when the QuarkID idea became to fruition. And we made an open call to the Argentine and worldwide crypto community. We in Argentina have a strong crypto background and crypto savvy users and developers. Lambda class and Alang just being an example there. And we got a very, very warm welcome, and we started thinking about how to solve this. And 2 years afterwards, we had the first running version of QuarkID, which today is an open source protocol, so anyone can use it. It's also a wallet, it's a digital public good in the UN, in the Digital Public Good Alliance, so everybody can use it. It's a completely open and free protocol. Today it's being used in the city of Buenos Aires with over 700,000 users. It was launched in October 2024. And today people in Buenos Aires have their driver's license, their citizens' credentials, and more than 70 other official government documents, as for example, birth certificates, within the wallets under their realm. That is, of course, the government has the information in order to issue those documents, but the document, the credential, is under the user's control. And there is a huge difference.
Yeah, it is incredible. And just before we started this recording today, you guys were telling me about a story that really pertains to the significance of decentralized control of these documents. There was it a government server that had gotten hacked? Maybe you could tell this story as well, because, sometimes decentralization, we think, oh, it's kind of overkill. It's like, oh, we don't really need all that. But you guys have a very real scenario and story that goes along with that, and it presents why this is an important solution.
Yeah. Just to be clear, here we do a combination between centralized information systems and decentralization, because it's a kind of contradictory. Say, hey, governments, institutions are centralized. How are you going to decentralize that? Well, the thing is, just take the example of the Los Angeles City government. Before using QuarkID, what you had was a server with a lot of information from citizens open to the internet, where you needed a set of credentials, let's say a login, in order to access that server. But you had an open door to the internet in order for users to download those documents on the fly. With this new scenario, of course, governments still do have the information, but the only thing you have is a door that you open, you mint your credentials and you close it. So you don't have an open door connected to the internet all of the time, which is completely hackable. And that's the sort of thing that we need to change. Why? Because governments, institutions get hacked. You get news all around the world every year of billions and billions and billions of information, personal information getting leaked. And that is and with the AI, is so dangerous, because at the end of the day, in the digital world, our source is data. So if our data is sort of spread around, it's kind of ourselves being available to anyone, and that is so bad. We need to change that ASAP.
Was there a situation where that happened? Do you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, I mean, it happened 2 or 3 times in the last 2 or 3 years in Argentina, but in many other places. And the one that I'm most familiar with is Argentina. You had this Telegram service, for example, in which you enter the driver's license number and you got the picture of the driver's license back. Crazy. All of the data of the the National People's Registry got leaked, something like 2 years ago. Those things in the digital world shouldn't happen anymore. And we need to work towards that.
Yeah, absolutely. RJ, when you you saw Diego's work as Secretary of Innovation, and also the necessity from having worked in the space, kind of what was your first impression of the technology, and was it an automatic, oh, this is an important, let's work together? How did the partnership between Quark and Diego's services here come to be with Lambda Class and Alak?
Yeah. So for me, it was a no-brainer in the sense that you are updating a protocol that every single government has, but you are using new tools in order to make it more reliable, right? And also it allows you to have like actual ownership for certain like credentials you actually own. For example, the city of Buenos Aires, probably in Argentina, has the best digital kind of stack for different things, but you needed like a next step, right? And all of these things they was mentioning, using these tools like zero-knowledge proofs and actually verifiable servers or blockchains is something very interesting for me, because you are bringing the real world with the technology we know how to use and how to develop on top of it. And what I love about the vision that Diego usually shares, that I share, like I also share a lot, and we talk about a lot on Align, is digital trust, or bringing down the cost of trust in different sectors of humanity. And I think this is great. Like we're really excited because we're using the tools that we know how to work with, Lambda and Align, and present them to people who they want to do the best for the citizens, but they don't know or they don't have the tools in order to do that. And in many cases, there's a lot of technical debt, not only for Web3, but also for Web2. And this is taking like a 0 to 1 scenario for updating the whole stack. So yeah, we met because of the Argentinian kind of ecosystem. And since then, we have been thinking how to work together and how Diego make and use a very scalable solution for the solution.
Yeah, and we're wearing the send proof stats, right? And so as of 2024, October 2024, the Argentinian government in Buenos Aires is using QuarkID for digital identity. Now we're building together something called the trust stack. And my understanding of this, and I'm sure we can get into some of the details, is that now Lambda class and Aligned is augmenting QuarkID and the digital identity framework with rollups, with ZK, and maybe even with wallets too.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious, Arjen, we have digital identity provided to the citizens of Buenos Aires through QuarkID. What do they get in addition to what they currently have now that Aligned is providing additional infrastructure?
Yeah. So the first thing is, because of Diego's use cases, what they need is a very scalable infrastructure, and they also need privacy. So what we're offering, and we're working together with Lambda, is packaging and producing tech around Ethereum, that is an L1 and L2 execution client that works also as a rollout stack, in order to offer them an infrastructure is easy to use and it's scalable, and it's also future-proof, because many of the things we're doing is not only for today, but for the future. So we want all of this technology to be part of Ethereum. Like everything we do is Ethereum native, as Diego says. And it's going to be interoperable with Ethereum. We will have base rollups. And yeah, we want to offer the best one-click solution for them in order to onboard as many governments as they can, and in the future institutions as well. And that needs authentication with wallets, that needs execution as rollups, and that needs like a very scalable and affordable infrastructure. So you need services like proof verification and proving services as well.
Okay. I think we'll get back into some of the verification and ZK things as well. But I'm curious, Diego, RJ just mentioned that the why everything has to be Ethereum native. And I'm curious, from your perspective, the future proofing, we've had a lot of announcements around Ethereum at ECC, of course. Robinhood made a great announcement on Arbitrum. There've been all of these great announcements for Ethereum and its rollups. I'm curious, from the perspective of not only the Buenos Aires government, but governments in general, why is it very important to use something as censorship resistant, as decentralized as Ethereum? Maybe you could unpack a little bit more why Ethereum and not any one of these other O1s.
Well, yeah, I think it is a no-brainer. Ethereum, because of its size and its decentralization and censorship resistance, I would say that is the decentralized computer. So why would you go with the second best? If you have the decentralized computer with the greatest economic security and the greatest decentralization around. So it's kind of a no-brainer. For me, the big decision from an institution/government perspective is not if Ethereum or any other O1, but is should I do a kind of private owned by me type of blockchain, which was something kind of quite popular in 2021, 2020. Fortunately, that is kind of getting out and more fleshing that out of the system, and I had this discussion several times. Having a private control by yourself blockchain doesn't make sense for that. I mean, you can have your own bare metal server with your database, and that's the same thing. Doesn't make sense to have your own database controlled by yourself and call it a blockchain. Yeah, so if you don't control it yourself, you can do a database that you have, and that's fine with me. If you need something provable, then you need something in the sense of your persistence, because otherwise it's your own proof. You proving yourself doesn't make sense at all. So that is for me the reason, because why choose Ethereum if you are a big institution and you need reliable trust.
I think the dilemma comes when some of these other roll-ups or L2s, they offer a significant grant, $25-50 million in order to use their L1 instead of something like an Ethereum. Did anyone ever offer you, or maybe, even if not, how do you reconcile, this short-term, injection of capital versus this long-term future proofing?
I had a kind of a long journey why in the government, and that is the reason why I'm here today out of the government doing something different. But I have a long journey when we started developing the protocol. They say, hey, which should be the blockchain in which we anchor the protocol? And I had a conversation with several ones. And at the end of the day, they were just discussing about specs, which, honestly speaking, I don't think that's the point. Of course, you need something scalable, and that's a must. That's the reason why we're working with Lambda Plus and Align. You need to be able to scale it. But you, as a decision maker in an institution, you're not gonna make your decision based on TPS or whatever other technical specific features. You need to look at the big picture, because things change so fast. This technology moves slow every 18 months. It's within that scale. So you need to think from a much more broader perspective. And when you come into touch that broader perspective, definitely Ethereum coming a packet to censorship resistance and 100,000 plus nodes and so on is, in my humble perspective, by far the most suitable and logic choice. We have been building Ethereum for the last 4 years, and I'm happy to do that. And I am really excited of what I'm seeing today in ETC, the momentum that Ethereum has gained in the last, 5 months. Of course, we need to keep it up and keep push it forward. But I think that my first impressions to this conference were precisely that. I mean, there's kind of a much bigger injection of energy and hope in the ecosystem, which is something that we definitely needed.
Yeah, but I think we can all feel it. For a long time, there was things that were happening around Ethereum. This conference, it feels like in Ethereum, things are happening again. And it's very, very exciting. General, just kind of, things that I'm thinking out loud. It's like, okay, well, we want to maintain this trust stack. I'm curious, what else are we missing? What else maybe is Lambda class building, or Diego, maybe things that you're thinking about as you guys are kind of seeing some of the energy, and you're feeling the energy, you're seeing these projects working here today and throughout this entire week. What do you think are some of the things that you're going to continue to build, some of the things you're going to continue to think about? Yeah, if you might.
Yeah, let me say something kind of controversial. I consider myself a lion of two worlds. This is the crypto world, and I consider myself a part of the crypto world and the industry. And then there's the normalist world, in which institutions make their decisions. And that is the reason because I created Sobra, which is, I think that a big mistake is that we're in a crypto band, and we all speak in this mambo jumbo that nobody outside of our world understands. You probably take anyone in the street and bring it into this ecosystem, into this congress, and they wouldn't even know what we're speaking about. The thing is that those people outsider are the ones making decisions. So the big leap that we need to do is, hey, decision makers in institutions, that is public officers in governments, CEOs and decision-making guys endorsing banks and so on, they're not into the technology. They're not buying technology. They just need use cases to solve a problem that they had, which happen to use crypto infrastructure, and that's okay with me. I mean, what do governments, what do institutions need? They need to solve a problem. KYC people. Hey, I need people to trust one another. I need to trust who's on the other side of the line when somebody's doing whatever thing with the government or with my bank or with whatever. How can I do this? Okay, you can do this with using this tech stack. And at the end of the day, you're making the decision based on the problem that tech stack is solving. And then maybe with the CDO or whoever is the tech guy on the other side, somebody gets into the details on how the tech stack is implemented. But I think that one big thing that the crypto industry and Ethereum community needs to do, and I think that initiatives as Etherealize, for example, are, for me, very, very, very interesting and the right way to go. We need to go to institutions and offer them solutions to real-world problems that they do have, yeah? And that is what we're doing with Aligned and Lambda Plus collaboration with Sobra. We're providing them with a no-code platform in order to digitalize their interactions with citizens, as for example, getting a working permit, the store legally open, to getting driver's licenses, birth certificate. We provide them with a SummerFi Ad, which is based on QuarkID. That is a new program that we're working out with Lambda Plus, with the Sobra wallet, using Alliance Services as a wallet as a service, and with an Ethereum Layer 2 client, FRX, proof with RISC and SP1, in order for assuring that all of that information is immutable. But at the end of the day, all of this technical part, again, doesn't matter. What our institutions are buying, hey, we can have in a secure way and provable way our users' documentation, and they can exchange that documentation with one another, and that will create this kind of mesh of trust in which friction is extremely reduced and businesses and get sort of in haste. Yeah, okay, all of that.
Spoken like a true innovator. Thanks. Reduce the friction, allow everyone to grow as a result. And so same question to you, RJ. As you're thinking through, the most important things to innovate on, right? And making sure that these things are solving real problems for real people. How do you think through these things?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think once you make all of these other protocols in society composable, where we have as a financial backend in crypto, I'm really excited to see those new applications. So if you want verifiable finance, you also need verifiable credentials for many of these things. Like if you want to create new lending protocols that are over-collateralized, you need to bring the trust of other systems, like existing governments or whatever, and bring them on-chain so people can build and make them composable. I think that's one of the things I'm really excited, like bringing the real world to the same backend so we can reduce the friction and also allow other people to experiment. Because if not, the way you innovate without all of this is by changing certain regulations or going to certain people. And if the governments or institutions can use protocols instead of paperwork and bureaucracy, I think that unlocks a lot of things I'm really excited about. Like, I want to see new fintechs using this, for example, using the financial backend and things like verifiable credentials in order to build new tools for people. And that will go really fast because I think we're in a phase where we're living it's very clear we left the Wild West. And we're seeing a new wave that is everyone coming to the same technology that we have been using. It doesn't mean they will live in the same world. It means they will live in the same technology. And we are really excited in aligning to have the stack that will allow that to happen with less friction possible. Yeah. One click, one solution, and I want to see the other next phase that I think it will be new companies building on top of solutions like Diego, and especially going to be interesting with AI and all of these things, creating problems for us with old protocols. And I think this is going to be amazing.
Innovating finance, global, institutional, and on-chain. Deep liquidity to drive capital efficiency. Now maximize yields on institutional-grade liquid staking with ETH. Unlock $1 trillion of capital via Bitcoin. All of this secured by Mantle's treasury of billions in stables and ETH capital pools. This entire ecosystem is coordinated by a vast network of seasoned VCs that are aiming to create the next generation of banking and financial technology. This is Mantle.
Introducing SummerFi, one of DeFi's oldest and most battle-tested platforms. SummerFi automates your exposure to DeFi's highest quality yield so you can sit back and enjoy this summer. Deposit stablecoins like USDC or USDT and let SummerFi route your funds into optimized, low-risk lending strategies. With over 100 million in instant liquidity and support for over 34 protocols across Ethereum, Arbitrum, and more, you always stay in control. Choose from a wide range of curated strategies reviewed by independent risk experts, all in just a few clicks. So why work hard for your yield when you can be lazy? Start earning now at summer.fi, the home of the lazy summer protocol.
AI will certainly accelerate this innovation as well. Diego, I have maybe just a couple more questions as we come to a close. I'm curious, you have had a role in the government of Buenos Aires. You have agency because you have, a role in that government. In some of the other governments just around the world, looking from the outside, looking in, you aren't able to make the decisions directly, but I'm curious, what kind of advice might you have for a government that might be looking at the solution, they're thinking about it, considering maybe implementing something? What kind of advice would you have for some of these other governments?
Well, we're happy to share that today we're working with several governments in Argentina, in Mexico, in Colombia, and we're in conversations with several governments from the region and from all over the world. There's a lot of interest, a lot of interest, and governments do realize that first they get to start digitalizing what they don't have. And it's crazy that today you go to do whatever thing, even a government or institutions, like you need to sort of do paperwork. It's kind of not even 21st centuries. From 1990s, it's crazy, but you do have it up. So they are really conscious about that. And the other thing is, okay, if we are gonna do it, we need to do it in the right way. Because, of course, there are several different alternatives on which to do this. And I think that the type of solution that SummerFi is proposing has the advantage that it's a kind of cutting-edge technology, which is much more cheaper and easy to implement than previous Web 2 solutions. And that is amazing because previous Web 2 solutions, maybe they've been these huge sort of databases and central servers and so on that were really hard to implement and really expensive to maintain a long time. So I think there's a lot of interest. Governments do understand and institutions do understand the need and the advantage of having sort of a portable identity that you can use in several other places. And that is happening all over the world. I was in the Thai event in New York a couple of months ago, and I met with 2 or 3 different government officials from the US, and they were looking at the same problem. Same thing in Europe, same thing in Africa. Everybody's looking at this same problem. I think that we're going to see, as we saw in the last 2 years, a huge evolution of the identity arena. This will keep on accelerating in the next 2 to 3 years. Honestly, I don't think there will be a solution. There will be several solutions, and the challenge that we solution providers do have is we need to be enabled of being composable, interoperating, speaking to one another, not trying to build sort of a closed, decentralized silo. That's not the way to go. We need to interoperate with one another, and that would provide users with what users, and by users I mean end users and institutions, need, which is a Web3 technology with a Web 2 UX. And that for me is a crucial point. And I would say the same thing. If in your solution, in any part of your UX flow, users need to sign a transaction, another whatever, you're failing.
Right.
You have zero chance of success outside of this Congress. Here, maybe you're pretty successful. Oh, wonderful. I will sign with my wallet, and then I will confirm the signature with another wallet. That won't work with I will say the same thing with my 86-year-old mother. which before downloading an application in her iPhone, she calls me. Hey, son, this is safe? Yeah, mom. If it's in the App Store, it's safe. So we need to provide users with a seamless experience and the right technology under the hood.
Yeah, absolutely. And government institutions oftentimes they're pre-Web 2, pre-Web 1 even. They're Web 0, like they're still on paper, right?
That's an advantage. I always say the same thing. I mean, when governments, I speak with governments, we say, hey, you know what? We don't have anything. We do most of our things paperwork. And say, hey, that's a huge advantage. Why? Because it's much more easier to start from zero with a new technology than to modify old technology, legacy technology that you have been running for the last 10 years. And that's a pain, changing, I don't know, whichever what two infrastructure centralized, you have two different data centers. Changing that is so hard. You don't have nothing. Oh, it's so much easier. It's the same thing as, I always give the same example. If I need to build a brand new modern house, I much more prefer to have a flat land on top to which start building from moment zero as I wish to do it, than modifying a house that was built in the 1800s. And technology evolves in 20 years and in 200 years in architecture. So having nothing is an advantage. It's not a disadvantage.
Yeah. Guys, last question here. The next major, Ethereum native conference is hosted in your home country of Argentina. It's Devcon at Buenos Aires. Very, very exciting. I've heard lots of positive expectations. Everyone about Cannes was like, oh, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. I think it's great. But I've heard only positive things about Buenos Aires, the city, as well as the conference coming up there. Everyone's very, very excited. So given that it's, in your home country, is there anything that, maybe we maybe us outsiders, I'm from the US, for some of the other guys, the foreigners in the community here at ETHCC, what should we expect at in Buenos Aires at Devcon? And generally, what are you guys most excited about?
Yeah, you should expect very good meat and wine for sure. No, but also I think we have the opportunity to show people who are working from Argentina that are part of the Ethereum community, particularly from our side. Many of our developers are there, and we cannot travel with everyone, right? And they are part of this movement, and they are very passionate people as well. I don't think people realize that. Like, the amount of people that work behind things like Ethrex and Allied is insane, and all of those people actually care about Ethereum, and they use Ethereum. That's one of the interesting things. We're building tech that we use. I mean, Diego and I use what Diego built. It's something that we are using. And many of the solutions and bottlenecks that we see, we do them because we actually use stablecoins, we actually use all of these things. We are a niche, maybe, as power users in Argentina, but we're very passionate because we want to fix problems we have. And I think that's something that is going to be valuable. Meeting us and people who are not from our companies that also work in Argentina and Latin America, I think that's going to be very interesting. I'm excited for people to meet us and talk to other young people as well.
Yeah, we're really excited as well. Let me share a piece of history. We really struggled and fought in order to win Devcon 2022, which was Bogota. We lost again our Colombian brothers. Anyway. But this time the whole community in Argentina made every effort possible, and we're so happy that the EF decided to host Devcon actually in Buenos Aires. Of course, stressing what Roberto says, excellent food, especially meat, excellent wine. That's a given in Buenos Aires. I think that I love my city, so I'm pretty biased, but most of people from abroad that do not know Buenos Aires will finally get positively impressed. It's a beautiful city, a beautiful, beautiful city. And if you have the time, that's a strong recommendation. Take a couple of days to visit some places in Argentina. You have amazing places to go in Patagonia, in Mendoza with the wine country, in the northern part of Argentina, and have amazing place at your business. So if you can make the time, that will be my strong recommendation. And last but not least, as Roberto was saying, we have a huge community, a huge Ethereum focused community. And one interesting thing is that that community sort of lives Ethereum in a very Argentine/soccer style. So you find this kind of energy and passion about things, which is more like in a soccer stadium than in a crypto event. And that's amazing. I think that the vibe will be incredible. People are really excited. We're going to have thousands and thousands of people from 15 years old to whatever. So happy to be there. So it will be an amazing event.
To your 86-year-old mother. I'm gonna be using Ethereum. Well, guys, keep up the great work. It's incredible. I love, RJ, what you said. You're building things that you guys use yourselves. You guys have the digital ID wallet on your phone. You're using it as your form of ID. This is incredible to see the technology in action, in practice. You guys built it yourselves. Congrats and thank you. And you're making Argentina proud, and you're making fellow Ethereum community members proud. So thank you, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.